Welcome to this edition of INN CEO Talks. Joining me today is Frank Carnevale, the Chief Growth Officer of Universal PropTech, which trades on the TSX Venture under the symbol UPI, on the OTCQB as UPIPF, and on the Frankfurt under the symbol 8LH. Universal PropTech is engaged in supplying PropTech healthy building solutions and services. The company develops intelligent building technology, including the integration of all building systems utilizing the latest in communications technologies, digital controls and mechanical services, performance monitoring, and energy efficiency and energy solutions. And today we're talking about energy resources and a number of advances the company has been making as it focuses on what is becoming a very, very important part in building infrastructure, the delivery of appropriate energy resources. Frank, welcome. And welcome back, actually. It's been a couple of months since we last talked, and I know that you've been issuing one announcement after another. And in your sector, you cannot ignore energy resources in particular. What are you working on right at the moment that is going to be of great interest to any of us who are watching this very, very important sector in business? Like, we can't function without appropriate building systems. And so you are identifying a resource need that needs to be addressed. How are you moving forward right at the moment?
Well, Stu, thanks for having me. It's great to be back. So what we're doing, our business is made up of a bunch of different groups. Done a great job in the last 7 months of talking about indoor air quality and pandemic and post-pandemic. We're building out our building performance group, which is a lot of, engineering, design, artificial intelligence, energy optimization. Our core business for 40 years has been our building automation systems group, and then our mechanical services group. So that business is humming along nicely, brought in a lot of great technologies and partnerships. But the new area is really to focus on energy resources. And let me give you a glimpse of what that is. So we recently came out with a vision document the other day that's really outlining, how we turn energy, the value, energy into a really good value for a business owner, a building owner. And really it's understanding that things like you can have the most energy efficient building. You can do your best to reduce your load, get a good supply of, renewables, and you can do your best. But in places like Ontario or even in Alberta, if you're not managing the grid economics of their own global adjustment charges and charges that come at you because your business that day operated, or those 5 days that year operated at a peak coincidental with the provincial peak, then you get, dinged a significant charge going forward. Doesn't matter what else you do to be efficient. So there's that reality. And the other reality would be things like in North America, we're seeing a massive push for demand energy resources. They call it DER, the DER market. And so it's really saying if you're that building owner and you're conserving energy, you're generating energy on your own site, you're storing it. Maybe you're keeping it in your electric batteries in your fleet and you're connecting it to your building. There will increasingly be opportunities to monetize that in the grid. Not to your local utility, but to monetize it to other third parties who will buy that and use a blockchain model to transact that. So here we are living and breathing and working in this building system environment of a building. But if you don't live and you don't play both sides of that equation, where there are grid economics you need to guard against, and there are opportunities to monetize your energy to take advantage of, then we're not doing our job to be your trusted advisor. So our energy resources group is really looking at creating the right partnerships. We've announced a consortium with other engineering partners to help build those alternative energy systems to support those buildings. And I'll just add to this, the real big thrust behind obviously being a trusted advisor to these customers is really taking this services business that we have. And yes, there's project revenue, services revenue, repair revenue, but how do we move up the value chain so that we're building an alternate asset class, so that we're going to own and at least finance those assets that we're now installing. So I'm giving you a lot to sort of unpack, really excited, and we're in Energy Resources Week and announcing every day new announcements consistent with this vision.
As I listened to you and you talked about, okay, you have this stored energy in batteries, I can't help but think that you might be talking about those batteries that are sitting in the automobile of the employee that's come to work. And are you suggesting that there's a way of integrating that energy into a system with flow back and forth? Is it that kind of smart technology, or,
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm not saying we're at that point yet, but we know it's coming. We know that if you look out even 5 years, you will have facilities, you will have malls, you will have office buildings where people that are plugged in with their electric vehicles will absolutely be participants in this market economy for electricity. So absolutely, we see that happening. And as a business, again, we're trying to be involved in all the artificial intelligence, all the optimization of your building to make sure it's not only the healthiest, but it's healthy for people and healthy as a buildings for the environment, so that you're only using as much energy as you need. But more importantly, if there's an opportunity to monetize that you're doing that in the grid appropriately and effectively. So these are, that was just a great example the next few years of what we see rolling out. But it's also, you can conserve energy, you can conserve it. You're still paying for it. You can conserve it and store it. You can then monetize it later. There's so many variations of what buildings can do. And I think, we're so used to, I have my electric utility, I consume energy, I pay my bill. And going forward, it'll be a lot more multifaceted and complicated and complex structures of how they monetize and how they pay for electricity.
Okay, I can't help but kind of get caught up in some of the fantastic opportunities that I start to, leak into my mind as you're talking. You're already in the business of converting heat to cold and cold to heat at different times during the day or different times during the year. In that conversion, you're creating other energy. Can it be used in other applications as well? Is this the kind of energy resource, thinking and opportunity that exists to be able to create, revenue streams from, new technology and new needs?
Absolutely, like waste heat, right? I mean, there's a lot of great technologies with waste heat, and there's companies that have great technologies that can store your heating and cooling within hollow core slabs, the concrete that you use as your floor or your ceiling in your buildings. There's a lot of great technologies, and I think as a plan going forward, the deficiency in the marketplace isn't and hasn't been a lack of technologies. It's been the lack of integrators. So we're taking our business of HVAC services from controls and from mechanical people, and we're adding on a lot of bench strength, a lot of technologies and applications to really excel that business. And when we look at when you look at the rate structures, you look at how electricity and energy is delivered to customers, there's a lot of, pardon my words, there's a lot of fat in that sort of equation, where we think there's a lot of opportunities to take those savings, apply them to the customers, the end users, the condo corps, the building owners, and depending if it's a new development, even the developers of it can win from this equation by having us, giving us access to develop the energy system for that site. So we're really broadening our approach to these types of sites.
Well, and what's so perfect about this is that you already have these relationships with the building owners or the tenants because you're supplying services to them now. It's a natural extension of your business, and of course, it improves your financial model.
Yes, I think the other
That's
part
the long answer and the short answer.
Yeah, and I think I've done this for a number of years, and I've helped sell a lot of solutions to building owners, and there has to be an appreciation that even if we had all the answers to make your building more efficient today, if you just bought your boilers or you bought your chillers and there's no opportunity because these are 20-year commitments and then some, it's really finding the right opportunity to get involved with the building to provide that solution tomorrow, right? So there's a lot of factors. So being in there and managing their existing assets, finding energy savings with their existing, controllers we can put in existing information from their data set, their building automation system. There's a lot of work to work through and to process over the next 20 plus years. So we will find our time to have the opportunities to invest in and develop those energy assets. It doesn't all come when we want it to come. And so we need to have a business that can withstand that and have the ability to increase share of wallet over a period of time.
Well, you talk about that ability. I know that you have a very healthy balance sheet. Tell us a little bit about how the company is positioned to allow you to explore and capitalize on these kinds of opportunities.
Yeah, that's a great point. I've been involved now for about the last 7 months. And when I came in, our CEO did a great job to really clean up the business a bit. I mean, it's been around for 40 years, but clean it up. He took out about maybe $1.3 million worth of costs in the structure. So that was great. There was an ability to do it, and he did it. And so when I came in 7 months ago, I'm sort of lucky. I get to start with sort of a fresh foundation. And our main objective was, you look at the pandemic. It's not something we planned on, but what's new from the pandemic? What's really going to come out of it? And clearly things like indoor air quality will be a critical piece going forward to deal with buildings and how they run and even how they're designed going forward. So every component of what we're building as a business, and I spent the last 7 months building out, are really intended to be meaningful, impactful immediately with customers. And how do we continue to take all those solutions and keep moving up the value chain so that we're more relevant in their daily choices, in their choices for equipment or for ongoing services? Or are they driven by things like low carbon, net zero? Or are they driven by energy efficiency, comfort management, or even indoor air quality? So we've been building out the different pieces that have enabled us to really have a far better offering for our customers and to be that trusted advisor. But there was always a method to the madness. The point of all that wasn't because by doing all this, we have this immediate massive growth tomorrow. It was we're building the foundation of a business. And here we are in the second half of this calendar year. We're building a business that it's far easier to attract the right talent, far easier to attract the right business that wants to sell to us and convince them to join our story and to join our narrative as to what we're doing to customers going forward and for customers going forward. So, it's a work in progress to build that foundation. We're well on our way, quite excited of what we've built. And now all those different pieces will have to start exploding in revenue and then in acquisition targets. And that's really where we're at in the cycle, I think.
So does that mean that you're looking to grow internally, or do you see mergers and acquisitions helping to accelerate your plans going forward?
So we've outlined a pretty aggressive program for the second half of this year and beyond, where we're absolutely looking. Yes, it's constantly let's grow organically as well as we can, and I spent a lot of time tweaking that and making sure that we're ready to take the solutions and products to market more cost effectively. So we're definitely doing the organic approach. But beyond that, it's really acquisitions, and we'll be obviously opportunistic. I mean, it's not, people don't just magically want to sell their business every day. So we'll be opportunistic of where we see opportunities, projects in Ontario. West Coast is definitely a place we want to obviously have a footprint in. And even in the United States, we'll be pretty opportunistic and strategic about where we open there. What we have done to show a bit of a footprint into driving and delivering that business is we've created distribution partners across the rest of Canada and the United States that allow us to sell certain products like, Air Sniper, a great Calgary company with air purification technology. We're now selling Air Sniper across the United States and across Canada. So we're doing things that allow us to have access to other markets, get some better insight, create some better relationships to then allow us to open or grow our footprint. That's it.
How important is the United States going to be for you in your strategy moving forward? Because, you're focused primarily in Canada right now, but you've mentioned the United States, and it's an enormous market. How do you see that factoring into future growth?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge market, and we're publicly traded. If we were a private company, you could survive in the market you're in and you can be content. We have big appetite, big aspirations, and absolutely we will need to have a footprint and continue to grow that footprint in the United States. I couldn't tell you exactly the timing, but absolutely we've committed to this second half of this year, really focusing on identifying, nurturing those targets. So we'll see how they play out in the coming months. But this isn't something that's a one-year approach. It needs to be constant, needs to be consistent. and we'll continue to bring all the solutions that we've brought together to build this platform, and then some. And we'll continue to find ways of acquiring and tuck unders and growing different elements of the business across North America.
You are moving in multiple directions right now. You know that I want to ask you about our last conversation. You said,
Yep.
hang on, be patient. We'll come to that in another conversation. But I think it's very, very interesting, and it's going to be exciting to watch as you build out the company, as I say, in a variety of different directions.
Yeah, we hope so. And we think we have a great story, a great package. And I can definitely say this. While we've been fixing the company and have no debt, cash on hand, we have a backlog of over $6 million worth of work that we haven't converted to revenue yet, and we have we have a growing business. So we're very comfortable with what we have to work with. But we have made some strategic investments, and we are looking to really scale that and grow the business. And a lot of the technologies we've picked. Just today we've announced we've worked with, we partnered with Empowered, which is a great company that takes the global adjustment charges that you would normally be dinged for just having the same coincidental peak electricity rate as, say, the province and whatever province you're in. We have a solution that uses AI to identify when you should turn off for the next 2 hours or really reduce your peak load. Wow. There's some really fun solutions. We picked a solution recently called Piera Systems, where, everyone's familiar in a post-pandemic world now of particulate matter and VOCs and various, particulate matter, CO2, things in the air that you don't see, but we know that it affects you. And we know from a particulate matter perspective that does lower the number in the size in microns of that particulate matter. We know the more invasive and the more harm it can do to you as a person in your lungs, in your bloodstream. And we now know that things like COVID-19 and viruses live within that 0.1 to 0.5 microns. Well, if you're buying indoor air quality equipment and you're not actually measuring those microns in that virus level, then what was really the point? In a post-pandemic perspective. So we've now found the right solution. It's a Canadian solution that allows us to identify that in any setting, very cost effectively, put on a wall and track all kinds of information, including those particulate matter levels. So, we just think we're really finding a suite of a lot of great technologies and solutions that together make us pretty unstoppable. And now it's just, sticking to the plan, continue to bring in projects, continue to be able to finance and own a lot of assets, and build up our customer base across the country and North America, for that matter.
What I like about your company is that you have blue sky opportunities and you have very real boots on the ground opportunities, because you're an operating company with a solid customer base and a full suite of services and products. I think you're in a really interesting position, and thanks for giving us this update today. And I'm hoping that we can continue to do this, because you're going to be exciting to watch as you move forward.
Thank you very much. Absolutely, we'll continue to do this. I appreciate that.
Great, thank you.